Men aren't just trying to improve anymore. They're trying to redesign themselves. And if you look closely at what's happening online right now, in the forums, the comments sections, the bedrooms of teenagers filming themselves at strange angles in the bathroom mirror, you start to notice something that feels new. Something that didn't have a name 10 years ago. And yet, somewhere underneath it all, there's an old line that says, "In the end, people will become lovers of themselves." Not in the way that sounds on the surface, in a stranger way. In a way that looks like love but might be something else entirely. That's what this is about. Let's go back to the beginning. Not the very beginning, because honestly, men have always cared about how they look. That's not a new thing. You can find ancient Roman men using pumice stones to smooth their skin. You can find Victorian gentlemen spending an hour on their hair before leaving the house. Vanity has always been there. But what happened in the last decade or so is something different in kind, not just degree. It started like so many strange corners of the internet, in places most people never visit. In the early 2010s, there were forums. In those spaces, men gathered to talk about things they felt they couldn't say elsewhere. Out of those conversations came a framework, a way of thinking about male attractiveness that borrowed loosely from evolutionary psychology, from pickup artist culture, from biology, and from a very particular kind of reductive logic. The idea was simple, almost brutally so. Human beings respond to physical signals of genetic fitness. Symmetry, bone structure, height, jawline, definition. If you understand the code, you can work with it. The term that emerged from these spaces was looks maxing. In its earliest form, this was basic male. Grooming, getting a haircut, lifting weights, sorting out your skin. But the framework around it was clinical to the point of being unsettling. Everything was measurable. Your facial width to height ratio, your canthal tilt, your gonial angle. There were rating systems. Men would post photos and receive numerical scores. A 6 out of 10, a 4. If that sounds dehumanizing, that's because it is. But the men inside didn't experience it that way. They experienced it as clarity, as finally having a map. Because the men drawn to them were often genuinely struggling with feeling invisible. When someone offers a framework that says, "Here's exactly why," it feels like oxygen. So the ideas spread to Reddit, YouTube, and eventually TikTok. The goals shifted from soft maxing, like better sleep and diet, to hard maxing, surgical intervention, jaw implants, rhinoplasty, brow ridge augmentation. The framing was always efficiency, never vanity. Then the globe happened, turning into specifically physical before and after photos. These videos work because they say, change is possible. Fast forward to now, it's an ecosystem. TikTok accounts, check eye tilt. Subreddits track jaw development. Appearance coaches break down faces for a fee. What gets sold is a promise. Fix the external, and the rest will follow. Respect, attention, a sense of value. And the advice often has real effects on health, confirming the framework. What's harder to see is the ceiling. The premise that there is a version of yourself you can optimize toward that will finally make you feel acceptable keeps moving. Plastic surgeons report men arriving with reference images of digitally altered versions of their own faces. Their own faces optimized. There's a distinction between self-improvement and self-rejection. Self-improvement starts from a place of agency. Self-rejection starts from a verdict. The current self is insufficient. The current face is wrong. The energy isn't curiosity, it's prosecution. No amount of improvement resolves it because the framework will identify the next flaw. At the extreme end, it becomes body dysmorphic disorder. But most men are in the middle, spending emotional energy on a project that feels increasingly necessary and increasingly incomplete. In the end, people will become lovers of themselves. It sounds like narcissism, but these men are at war with themselves. They look at their faces every morning and find them wanting. That's not love. That's its opposite, wearing love's clothes. The culture doesn't answer why the thought of being seen and found lacking is so unbearable. Somewhere underneath is a fear of being invisible, of mattering to no one. Optimizing your face does not touch that fear. The mirror is getting closer, the question of who you see in it, and whether you can look at that person without immediately reaching for a checklist. That might be one of the more interesting things happening to men right now. Thanks for watching. Stay curious.